Hey guys, this is Kyle Keogh here with training footage from the training that I've done this week. Finished my deload and started my training up again towards the end of this week. You're going to see some deadlifting, some bench pressing, and some squatting. This was 520 pounds done on a stiff bar for 2 sets of 5. Have been alternating on my deadlift days between these sort of top set days and volume days. I took the frequency back down from twice a week to once a week just because I didn't feel like I had much to gain by continuing to train at a very high frequency. Deadlift feels pretty so-so right now. The reps are pretty clean at least, which is good. They're pretty smooth all the way through, but I would like this to move a little bit better. And I'm thinking next week I'm going to go back to actually pulling on a deadlift bar just to see how that feels. Normally I feel more comfortable pulling on a regular stiff bar than a deadlift bar, but I'm going to give it a shot and see how that goes. Moved on the next day to bench press and did 310 for 3 sets of 5. Pretty good number. I had programmed on there sets of 6, but I've just been adjusting the numbers based on what's feasible. And I knew after the first set I didn't really want to grind the 6th rep out on these sets, so I opted just to stay with sets of 5 here. Overall, the number itself is good. Tendonitis feels really good, and I'm really happy with where I stand this far out from the meet. I'm a lot further ahead than I was going to the last meet, but I'd like for things to be a little bit better. I'd like to be a little bit stronger off my chest on that first rep, and so I might play with my grip width a little bit because, as you'll see a little later, benching a little narrower has actually gone well for me recently. So for the first time in a while, I might adjust my grip width and go a little bit narrower and just see how that goes. Today I squatted and benched. I squatted for 3 sets of 430 for sets of 6 and did some feet up, paused benching. The squats felt pretty terrible. I've gotten something once again. I feel like I'm sick all the time now. I got something this week, and my appetite's been really bad. I've lost a little bit of weight, and going into this session, I just felt pretty lousy. So legs didn't really feel like they had much. I was able to just go through the sets without too much difficulty and do what was prescribed on there, but I would have liked for these to have looked a whole lot better. Big issue right now that needs to be resolved is just that as I've increased intensity, I'm going back to half squatting, especially that first rep, so that's something that just needs to be rectified. So next week I'll probably break out my singlet again and film from the side and assess my depth and play with some technical changes, see what I can learn and see if I can get it to a passable depth, because right now that's the biggest issue. That is almost always the biggest issue on my squatting, so it's time at this point to get it dialed in. The first rep was pretty bad, or the first set rather was pretty bad. The latter sets got a little bit better, and the last rep on each of the sets was possibly to a passable depth, but it just overall it's not near where I want it to be. Done better with it the last couple weeks than I did on this session, so I'm just gonna forget about it and say it is what it is, and try and make corrections to it for next week. The only thing that did go really well this week was my feet up benching. I don't know why this is going so well. I am bringing my hands in a full hand length on each side. Did 3 sets of 8, started with 260, and that felt really easy. This right here is 280, which I did for a set of 8, and then I finished with 290 for a set of 8. I have no idea why this is, at this point, pretty comparable to my competition style bench. It really shouldn't be that way, but I'm going to try and take and learn from this as best I can and apply some changes to how I perform my competition style bench. Chief among them is going to be trying to bring my hands back in again for the next session and just seeing how it feels. So I'm going to make that adjustment, and we'll go from there. Anyway, keep checking in. I'll have more videos for you very soon.